And then we wait. Hey everyone, and welcome back to Episode Club. Today we're going to be talking about Westworld Season 3, Episode 7, Pressed Pawn. And joining me today is Caleb Nichols himself, Johnny, aka House of the Conqueror. How you doing today, Johnny?
I'm doing pretty good. We had that penultimate episode, a little host on host action, and it's always good to see someone get cut in half, I have to say, and I'm doing pretty good. Thank you, Mackenzie, for having me on. We're gonna have a fun time, and let's see if we can explain this as best we can, or just talk about it in general. It's pretty straightforward. I think they're trying to make you think there's a huge twist, and there may be some sort of twist, but I feel like we have a pretty linear story going on here, which is kind of refreshing if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
But prepare for a twist
Yeah.
next episode.
Most definitely, there has to be a twist coming. I think I even said it in my video that part of this doesn't make any sense, or my reaction anyway. Part of it doesn't make any sense. But before we get too far in, the people who are joining us right now in the chat is Cece, Miss Duncan the Tall is here, as well as Apparently Human, Peter Griffin, and Nancy T. So, this episode 7, Past Pawn, was a very Caleb-centric episode, which, I mean, they kind of had to do that. This season, like this late in the season, like we needed an episode to really explore his background because we haven't done that yet. How did you feel about this episode overall, Johnny?
Little slow at times. They spiced it up with a little bit of action, but I feel like a lot of setup here. Maybe a little too much exposition, but for being honest, I think it was still a solid episode, and it gets you ready and primed for the finale coming up. If you haven't checked out my video yet, go do it. Go do it. I'll talk a little bit more about the Dolores and Caleb parallels, but I mean, Caleb is finding out the truth, just like Dolores found out the truth, and it's slowly starting to become who he really is. Because we've seen Caleb this whole time, and he's been virtually a blank slate. Memories wiped or disassociated due to this treatment that they're given, and he wakes up to the truth here. And he has the God responsible for it right in front of him in Solomon. And I'm pretty sure Solomon is done for with that EMP. I don't think Solomon's coming back because he said he won't be able to help Caleb after that, and then he was saying something important until, right at the end there. So, what's up, CC?
Yeah, hi CC, and I feel like it's okay that you don't watch. We can hopefully be enough entertainment for you right now. I put your video in the chat, but yeah, if you want to pre-emphasize what it's about, if people haven't watched it yet, like what is it? Like, I know you just talked about it, but it's basically your video is saying that.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, she just needs to go start at season 1.
Yeah.
Do it, CC. Okay.
Yeah.
You'll have fun, and you'll be tripped out the whole time. What makes a human human? What is consciousness? How do you feel about other beings? You put yourself on a pedestal over animals and AI alike, or do you think of them as the same? And then going off from there, I don't know. It's hell for hosts who are almost indistinguishable from humans, and the lines keep continually getting blurred as the show goes on. I don't want to spoil you too much, so go do it. Watch it. You should have time right now. Put on your mask and go watch a good show. I was trying to think of something clever to say, but it didn't come to me.
Yeah, season one, like a lot, I think, of the people who have covered Westworld think that this show, especially in its first season, was one of the latter forms of best series on TV in like the more recent history, and it's well worth its praise. I'm surprised it's not nominated for more awards, like on the level of what was Game of Thrones at its height. So, um, but Peter Griffin obviously asked the most important question of this episode, which is, are you a can opener? I am not, as far as I know. Johnny, are you a can opener?
Oh yeah, I'm definitely a can opener. Apparently human. What makes a human human? Human-like tendencies. Sometimes. But I know a lot of humans that don't act human. So that's actually a really deep philosophical question. I mean, you can say scientifically what a human is, but as far as what is consciousness, what does it mean to be human? That's it's a very interesting question. I don't have the answers to, but like Diogenes, I will pull my pants down, stare you in the eyes, and take a shit while I'm telling you about my day.
Of course.
Diogenes, one of the best philosophers.
Peter Griffin, that should be on a shirt, or Westworld merch, can openers lives matter too. Yes, someone should make that. The episode picks up basically with we pick up with Musashi, and we also have Clementine and Hanaro, and basically they wipe out Musashi, Clementine, and basically Shogun Armistice. And what did you think about that?
Let's get this out of the way really quick. So Hale talks to Musashi, is in darkness. Looks like her hair's starting to grow back or something. I don't know what she's got going on, but we're gonna see some crazy freaky shit with Hale. She's in a dark place right now, and I'm telling you, Nightmare on Elm Street. I know that was a joke on my last decoherence breakdown, but I don't think it's gonna be that far off, really.
No.
You'll find that a lot with my jokes that they actually are relevant to the plot, even though they're ridiculous.
Your mama is
What's
a
up, Erin?
blower.
And she's talking to him, telling him basically Dolores sent us all to die. Like I had stated previously, Hale was not supposed to make it out of there, and it is still up in the air whether Dolores blew up her family, because after this episode I'm thinking, well, maybe she did do it. Because he's like, you surprised to hear my voice, Musashi? Oh no, I'm happy. It means her plan is working. Yeah, her plan is for all of us to die. And then now what Hale does at this point is has him killed, so maybe she's not for other Dolores's. Hale is just for Hale at this point. So anything with Dolores's presence, even though that's basically killing yourself. Oh man, that's a conundrum you get into. But Clementine is badass here, but I don't, I feel like Hale could have called in a tip, right? Hale could have called Maeve, could have contacted Maeve somehow, because she did, Maeve did say something about her other versions dying for them. So has she talked to Hale at this point? But also she did talk to the Connell's Pearl, so she knows that she's sacrificing them. Makes you wonder. I mean, Hale doesn't have to be working with Serac at this point, because I don't think she would. I think she's a definite wild card here, but it doesn't take that much to call in a tip. Hey, I know where this person is. Know where that person is. And we know Hale knows how to use the phone. She's notorious for using the phone all season. If you don't remember, so whatever.
Yeah, and in that,
What did you think about that opening scene?
I really, because we haven't seen Musashi since Mother of Exiles, I believe. So it was nice to kind of catch up with them. It was surprising, but then not so surprising that Clementine was coming because everybody kind of debunked that online last week.
Oh,
But
Sasake. I know you're probably not here yet, but Sasake. Just because they're on the red carpet doesn't mean they're gonna be. No, it really doesn't mean they're gonna be in there.
yeah,
But,
exactly.
but come on, it had to be Clementine. That's
Yeah.
that's the one associated. That's one of the few. It couldn't be many.
Hmm.
Why they went with Japanese armistice? I don't really know.
Yeah.
Probably just because it's cooler to have
Yeah.
have her wielding a sword. Samurai world is
Yeah.
prevalent all throughout this season. If you
Hmm.
haven't noticed, this is something that Maeve has taken with her and is a cool little memento from her experiences, right?
Hmm.
So I like it.
Yeah, and it was nice that they brought. I guess they also brought her back because of the fact that it's because Musashi was slash still is in some respect the Japanese version of Hector, or the Shogun version of Hector. Sorry. So to have the Shogun Armistice counterpart come back was quite
It's fitting.
fitting.
I was thinking to myself, you couldn't predict that, but then if you really, really thought about it, you could predict that. Since they brought back Musashi.
Yeah, that they would bring her back. Um, it's kind of
Quip.
quick, but I feel bad that original Armistice hasn't shown back up yet. Maybe she will next episode. Who knows? But I really thought that it was nice to see that business kind of thing go down, and it was also nice to see Clementine in her prime, having some really good fight choreography. She always has like underrated fight choreography in some aspects, but she does sometimes the same moves. Like she, in like the first season, she did the whole thing where she like slams the people's heads against the wall. Like she did that this episode. Um,
She did some cool karate too.
and
You know,
and she took the bullet to the shoulder like a champ. She just kept walking. And then even when
well,
she
she
was,
pulled a Dolores, right? On
yeah.
Dolores.
Hmm. And when she also like was believed that the man that she was slamming against the wall, like his head against the wall, was done, she just like flicks her hair and just like, and then just like walks away, like just kind of like disgusted by the fact of what she just did. But that was funny. And they did like when Heyola, whatever, like just slices through or stabs Musashi, and then it just basically cuts all the way around his stomach because she like spins him around, kind of thing.
He tries to grab her too,
Yeah, and
and she just ducks under, does a little
mhm.
bob and weave, and a slice and dice.
And then they just drag him off and out of the restaurant, basically, and that's like how the episode opens. And it's a pretty epic way to open as a cold open for this episode, and I feel like they're going to be back next episode. Those ladies will be back next episode, and it's just like how are they going to be brought into the main story? Is like I wonder. Um,
Well, they're all gonna converge in Singapore. I can't remember the place. Jakarta. I
Jakarta.
can't remember the name. Jakarta. That's it. I don't know exactly where that is, but it's not Singapore. I thought we're
Yeah.
gonna see them back in Singapore.
Hmm.
Where the final showdown is now, or L.A. I guess probably L.A. right because that's where Rehoboam is. And
Yeah.
are they trying? Well, do they need to physically get there anymore? There's got to be some point to where they're going. No, like there has to be a specific location that the Lord that we're going to end up at. I know we're in the streets of the city, but I can't tell if it's.
Yeah, it's hard to tell.
I can't tell where it is.
I think we're probably gonna start back. Well, because right now Dolores and they're in like they're near Mexico, weren't they? They were like in Sonora, Mexico.
They're
So
in the Sonoran Desert.
so it's easier for them to go, I guess, to LA/San Francisco than it is to go to Singapore. I guess that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, but they could fly anywhere technically.
Yeah.
I guess it
Yeah.
just depends.
For how long the
The Rock
episode is
does
next
have
week.
flying weapons coming after him now. But the EMP probably took that out. And I want to say, I don't know if it's called Sonora City. Let me look it up. But where William is, Sonoran Desert's huge. But Sonora, there's a city. I don't know. No, it's got to be a city in Sonora.
Yeah. And it also depends on how long the episode is too. I know like the last 2 years the episodes have been like an hour and a half. Right? So
Yeah, it'll probably be an hour and a half. I haven't looked.
I don't know if it's
I'll
available.
probably look.
That info's online yet, but I think we're gonna have to get everybody together, or at least majority of the pack together for the end of that season. But yeah, I think that was an interesting scene that we got to see with them, and it was kind of to wrap up the Musashi storyline before the finale. The next kind of place we kind of go to is Caleb's memories. So my big overarching question for this is we get like a lot of information about Caleb, including memories that are basically fabrications made by Sirach, the team at Insight in Sonora, Mexico. This is a thing of like, I know everything that we saw is meant to be believed as real, or is this again, at least part of it led down the path of this is like a red herring kind of. Like, my kind of quick response to that is, to me, most of this is believable. It's just the part about Francis I'm still not 100% sure about. And it's because of the angle that they film Caleb at when he's like trying to compress Francis's wound, that makes me think that that's still a fabricated memory. Like, because they could just as easily say, oh, somebody killed him, or you killed him. So do you think like all of that we saw in this episode is canon, 100% true facts?
I think the last part is, I think, it was all mixed up because he was having the false memories with the real ones, but at the end we saw it for what it was. He didn't go there as a legitimate soldier. He was there undercover. Ended up having to kill Francis. Equated a little bit to him, Dolores having to kill one of her friends, or basically making Teddy kill himself. I mean, you could definitely argue Francis basically killed himself there. I mean, it was one or the other. It was Caleb or Francis, and that's, now we see why he wanted to kill himself, or not why he was going to kill himself, what he was carrying around with him. Even though he didn't remember it like that, he still probably had that imprint of guilt before the memories got scrambled, so to speak. So I think what we saw is what we get. Does that mean he's not going to remember more? No. But I think we'll have like triggers for it if it's going to happen. Because maybe he's, he might not have his whole memory back yet.
No.
Is all I'm saying.
Yeah,
so he's still finding out who he is, and by the end of next episode, I think he's going to know. For the most part. Just like Dolores knew.
Yeah, and that will be a thing to carry him through probably into season 4. Because I don't feel like Erin Paul's a one season, like this character lasts only one season. So, yeah, I think that it's most likely all of that information that we get is probably true. It's just part of me still thinks for some stupid reason that that Francis is more dead than alive, but there's still a part of me thinks that I'm not too sure about that. I could be very much wrong, but also at the same time, what we see is what we get in this show sometimes, and that's one of those things where I was like, whoa. Another thing I wanted to ask you is, and ask the chat as well, it's like, how did you feel about basically Solomon, where Solomon is basically another form of cold storage, but also that Solomon in a sense acts like the Delos logo when you walk into the park part, like the business side of the park in season 1. Like that was very much adds to what you saw in your video about the comparisons from season 3 and season 1, and seeing the globe is like seeing the globe of Delos, and then going into cold storage is very much like where we saw all of those bodies.
Yeah. And it's crazy what he's been doing with them. And actually, Solomon said it's better that if the treatment didn't work, that they didn't, that they were frozen because they couldn't breed. So, and it's still kind of in secret, because nobody really knows that's going on, because, as Bernard stated later, it's marked dead. Symbolism there, the glass, it's the same as Dolores' hell. It's almost the exact same. It's just the human version of it. And that's why, through season 4, we kind of know what's going to happen with Caleb. That's why I think that, go watch the video.
Yes. Yeah.
But, well, I'll throw this to you too. Like, with Solomon as well, what were your initial thoughts about that? Because this is basically a insane AI, as Caleb puts it, and it's been put away because it didn't predict basically what Serac wanted it to predict. I don't know. Keep going.
So the thing with Solomon is, it was kind of because they had mentioned Solomon build, I want to say in the first episode and like in the third episode, like when we got to know more about Dempsey, they mentioned a lot about the Solomon build. So it was nice to kind of see the idealized, or like the physical representation of what Serac and Jean-Mi, which is Engerod's brother, were wanting to create. I kind of had like that Solomon, and especially the voice, was very much like 2001 Space Odyssey, like Hal, I think is what its name is. I haven't seen
HAL
that.
9000, something like that.
Yeah. And, like, I haven't seen that movie in like 3-4 years now, but it kind of gave me that like vibe, especially with the default voice, of like when Dolores is like default, use your default voice, and the whole thing of predicting and making sure that things were going right and wrong. The fact that the machine was basically shut off because it was giving the wrong answers is it's like something you don't want to do.
It is like Solomon said in the beginning, that it's no prediction is 100%, no outcome is 100%, and he even stated what they had to do in order to make this predictive model work, is they had to be able to control the variables, because you can't have rogue variables in any equation, or else you're never going to get 100% right. What also is interesting is Jean-Mi. All of those programs he wrote that Dolores was asking about were for rebellions, with the most human human lives spared or something like that.
Yeah.
And she went with the last one he made before Sirach put him into that place. Um, and Sirach's looking more and more evil at this point. I know he's trying to cure his brother and whatnot, but it really makes you wonder, because I feel like Jean-Mi felt bad about controlling the people the way he did, right? It's almost a Ford Arnold situation. It is a Ford Arnold situation. Except Jean-Mi isn't dead yet.
No.
Neither is Arnold.
Yeah. It's one of those things where it's very much like this season, especially with this episode, is very much like it's a mirror of season 1. And everything that's kind of happened, and maybe we're getting the perspective that Jean-Mi was crazy through the perspective of Sirach. We haven't had really a flashback besides him being in that room that we see Caleb have a flash to, where they see that he is crazy. There hasn't been really any other sequence of events where we've seen that he's like crazy or needs help, psychological help. So it could have been a thing where, like you said, his brother most likely didn't like the fact that he was having, like, these models that he was making and predicting for people were killing people, and he was more of like the more sympathetic of the two, and power hungry Sirach decided, oh, you're gonna go against me now, so now I banish you and I just stamp you as crazy, which could be very much possibility. It would be interesting if that they could wake up Sirach next episode, not Sirach, Jean-Mi next, well, he is a Sirach, but Jean-Mi next episode, or that's how, like, they kind of like leave it, or they leave it on the anticipation of this human army that you're talking about.
Well, yeah, the cryostasis has been turned off by the EMP. Does that mean they wake up? And still, Rain, I'm not clear on that, but I'm pretty sure he was put in there probably around the same time Solomon was retired. I think Sirach was trying to build a better model. He probably used his brother's information, everything he learned while helping his brother build it, and then he tweaked it the way he wanted to. He wasn't hearing the answers he wanted to out of Solomon, so he tried to control everything. He wanted to stop the end of the world, and as Bernard put it, you can't save humans from themselves. And I've said this a few times, and in like breakdowns and stuff, that he may think he's trying to save the world, but it's a hopeless act. You can try as much as you want, but you can't control everything, and that's his pitfall. Now back to Jean-Mi. Jean-Mi was the first one to suggest that they kill Dempsey. I don't know if maybe it was because of Dempsey's power and control, or maybe they saw what was happening. I have no reason to completely doubt that Sirach's brother wasn't schizophrenic. He probably was. The thing is, it doesn't mean he was a bad person. It doesn't mean he couldn't have took medication, because I think there was more than that. It seemed that even from Sirach, basically his brother was the first outlier, and I guess it didn't fit the plan. Whatever his brother was doing apparently was messing up the predictive model in the future that Sirach wanted, and he was one of the anomalies that need to be taken out of the equation. He might have got a bad rap in this, because what Dolores knows, she knows from Sirach's memory, and we know humans can manipulate their own memory to fit their will sometimes. Like, people remember events differently all the time, and it can be a protective thing. He wants to cover up the guilt, so he remembers it different. That his he had to lock his brother up. He didn't have a choice. That's probably the way he chooses to remember it.
Yeah.
Whether it's subconscious or not, more than likely it's subconscious, but it's a thing humans do to cover up bad or embellish good things. It's just something we do.
And he also left that video, like that hologram version of himself, in the hopes that his brother would be able to be saved and unlock himself. So it's not that he feels like, what's the word? It's like that he wants his brother to be back in the real world and not be stuck in that state forever. But it could be a situation.
Yeah, it's to smooth out the rough edges, right?
Yeah.
There's something else going on here because they make medicine for people like his brother that smooths out the rough edges. So there's something else there. There's something that maybe his decision making isn't predictable, a lot like the Man in Black. They people that live on a whim, maybe that don't necessarily plan out their life. They make decisions on the fly. Maybe we'll get to find out. I don't know. Did I drop? I dropped, didn't I?
I think I might.
Either way.
But yeah, the brother. There's something about the brother that, and why he's still stuck there, because seemingly from our perspective, which is Sirach's perspective, is that he was crazy and then he was put away. But it could be a situation where he was maybe not as crazy as we think, and that he just wanted all of the power, and that to be put in that state was the easiest way to take care of him, but also keep him to the side. Kind of like how I can okay, I'll save it for later, but I have a wild and insane prediction that I just kind of came up with in my head, but I'll save it for later to wrap up.
Well, let me throw this out there. So the hologram we see, I believe it's there for whenever Sirach dies in the future, because he talked about future biogenetics, I think is what he said, that could fix it.
Yeah.
And you can also interpret it, because I know there's a lot of stuff going around about how Sirach is one with Rehoboam. Is it possible? I don't necessarily know. But they're throwing hints that his brother is one with Rehoboam, but I think it's more in the sense that they're actually, his thoughts were basically put in there. What he was thinking was put into this machine. Now, it could be connected, but I think we need a physical version of Sirach to die. Now, even if he could still be part of Rehoboam. That's some way he could live on for a little bit. But I think we need to have some physical revenge here if Caleb's going to pull a Wyatt.
Yeah, you're going to need that revenge in that aspect. Because, it's the season finale, and it's dramatic, and it's explosive, and it's actually, I just checked, and it's as I think Peter Griffin said, it is an hour and 15 minutes. So it's gonna be
There'll be a lot going on. Probably will be.
A lot of fight choreo and stuff going on, and hopefully some big reveals to leave us on for what will probably be at least a 2-year wait for the next
I hope
season.
not, but yeah, with it, probably minimum with what's going on right now, and who knows what's going to happen in the future with this virus. Even if it goes away in the summer, they're talking about it coming back in the winter, blah blah blah. Hopefully they can get the filming as soon as possible, because we got season 4 coming up, and I've already made a big prediction. So.
Yes, but I think it's a solid one, and who knows.
Basically, Caleb's just going to kill everybody.
I mean, and then we go to Space World, or whatever they want to call it in space.
Space World.
I don't know what to call it. So while we have like the whole thing with Caleb and the reveals, at the end, Dolores obviously leaves Caleb and she goes and has a showdown with Maeve, but this is their first of obviously a few showdowns in these next two, this last episode and the one we'll get on Sunday. But what did you, I know I'm not the biggest fight choreography person, and I know you are, so how did you feel about that being represented on screen?
Well, this is the second match. Maeve, I guess, got the upper hand, even though she got killed again, basically. Now, but, you know, tomorrow night's episode looks like we're going to get the rubber match. Not tomorrow night. This week's episode coming up is we're going to get the rubber match between the two hosts. Host on host crime we got going on here. I thought the scenes were really cool. I love the drone sniper rifle. That was I really want to get one of those. Probably could never afford it. That's like $1 million gun, it looks like, and I know it's not real. Okay, I'm sure they're working on something like that. But you know, Dolores's or Evan Rachel Wood's Taekwondo skills were put to the test, and she did a lot of her stunts here, and it really shows. It was some very nice, tight fight choreography. Of course, her knife skills, that was some good knife fighting right there. Fighting, you know, a knife versus a samurai sword, but she used it properly and didn't go crazy with it. It was some really tactical shit, and then the arm getting blown off. I was wondering, I was like, you know what? There's so many swords that they're not going to cut her arm off. Something's got to happen. And as soon as when she started running after getting kicked out of the cafeteria, she, you know, I saw that, you know, the drone was shooting at her or whatever. And I was like, yep, that's how she's getting her arm shot off. And sure damn enough, that shit blew up everywhere. It was, I don't know, it was pretty good. It was pretty good. They had to throw that, and that had to be in this episode. Their confrontation had to be in this episode, because other than that, it was slow. You know, not, you know, we got a lot of information, but the pacing was slow, and this, I don't know, this changed it up a good bit. I'm glad we got this. You know, it still makes you wonder what Maeve's doing. She still trusts Serac that he's not going to destroy Virtual Eden and kill her once he gets the codes. But Maeve will think about that later. She's that type of person. She does shit and thinks about it later. I'm sure it'll hit her at some point, but you know, she'll get her revenge first, I guess. I don't even know that she's going to kill Dolores next episode. What we see from the previews is Dolores hooked up to them tubes finally. What that is.
With her new arm. Or slash body.
We'll see what that is.
Yeah, she's getting a new...
Yeah, I don't know what it is. Or maybe the tubes are... Fuck, I don't know. I ain't even going to try to guess that, because... What am I? What do I look like?
Well, she's getting a new body next episode. Based off of what we can tell from the season previews, she gets a new body next episode. And who knows, she probably gets damaged in a fall when she's fighting with Maeve again in whichever city that they're in.
Well, Maeve comes at her with the samurai sword again. We're gonna have to see. I mean, Maeve's gonna have to cut her at least one point, at some point. She hasn't even hit Musashi or Dolores with a samurai sword. Now that I think about it, she's swinging that thing around, and she hasn't even touched anybody with it. She needs to choose a new weapon at this point.
Yeah.
But she's not going to. She's not going to. We see her with it again.
No.
Third time's a charm. Never give up, Maeve. Don't give up. She is more human than anyone. She is more human than anyone to a fault at this point. You know, she, like I've said before, she can't see the forest for the trees. But, you know, Hale, who has been the wild card this whole time, has definitely, you know, she did kill Hector, like, for real, forever. And Maeve's not going to let that shit go.
No.
She's not going to let that shit go. But she needs to be thinking about what's going to happen afterwards. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, the sword fighting that wasn't, like... So, yeah, she meets with Musashi, and then Musashi and his Goonies have guns, and she loses against them. But then Musashi also has a sword fight with her. And then she decides she does more training. She goes and does more training where she kills all of the Nazis that she can in War World. And she still decides that a samurai sword is the best weapon. And then goes after
she brought a
Dolores.
drone with her, right?
Yeah.
I mean, would she have won without the drone?
Probably
You know,
not.
Dolores did have her drone sniper rifle set up, whatever. But she had to even the odds somehow. You know, you're getting shot at by a big ass UFO. That's what I call it, UFO.
The UFO.
And yeah, I mean, next time at least bring 2 samurai swords, dual wield them. How about that?
Yeah. Maybe try a step up your game a little bit more, or bring the samurai sword and something else, because Dolores had a knife and she was still doing all right.
Dolores is badass now.
Yeah.
I'm telling you that. Evan Rachel Wood's a legit martial artist, so that's nice to see. It's nice to see.
I think they said in the behind the scenes video that both of them actually did like 80% of their own stunts in that sequence. It was just obviously the stuff that they couldn't do, getting stabbed, using a lot more of the tools and the fighting and stuff that they couldn't do, but they did at least a very big portion of it. It was just the legal things that they couldn't do.
Sasuke, that's a good question.
Mm-hmm.
And I just saw a glaring hole in this episode. Yeah, I guess Maeve only needed the sword because she thought she could control all electronics there. She couldn't control that drone. I wonder. Damn.
And
she had a few times she could have controlled things, and she didn't. Now, can't she control Dolores still? I wonder if she still has that power.
Maybe.
She got into her head, but maybe she wanted a fair fight. But I don't feel that from her because she just wanted to kill Dolores no matter what. It's interesting. I think she just has the electronic power. I guess she's lost that power over all hosts, even though Dolores brought it up. Well, Connell's Dolores brought it up. What was it, 2 episodes ago or an episode ago? I can't remember. These episodes are merging into one in my head.
It was last episode. Because she killed Hector last episode. Because then you'd also think that she'd be able to control the machine that Dolores slams her hand against, and which shuts both of them down.
Well, she did control. She did control the maintenance bot that was there. I forgot about that. She just pinched a piece of Dolores's butt cheek out. I don't know. It was weird. It was weird. But other than that, the sword fighting stuff's good. I don't want to get caught up on stuff because I could pick apart any TV show. I don't care what it is. You could pick that shit apart.
Yeah.
But I feel like is it just me or is Maeve always underprepared? She did all of this fighting, she did all of these things, and I fucking love Maeve, but she's like, okay, I'm just going here. She sent 2 of her friends to kill Musashi.
Yeah.
You think you could wait for a 12-hour flight or something for them to come help you?
Yeah.
I don't know what the flight time is, so don't fucking crush me if it's more than 12 hours. But still, she could have waited, maybe tracked Dolores in the desert, crawling on her belly, following them. I feel like, while Dolores and Caleb were on horseback, Maeve's back there stalking like a lion in the bushes, just watching, waiting for her time to jump. And then she doesn't even do that. She lets them know, hey, I'm coming for you, Dolores. Why don't you come out here and fight me so that Sirach's drone can shoot you? Maeve. Come on, Maeve, get your shit together. All right.
I don't know. Yeah, it's one of those things where it's girl, you could have waited the 20 minutes it could have taken to get you, or not in TV time, the 5 minutes.
gosh, Sasuke. She didn't account for the giant magnet that was there as a failsafe. Sirach didn't tell her about the giant fucking EMP, and she's just slowly stalking Dolores down like Michael Myers. Oh, what are you gonna do with that button, huh? Oh my god, what is happening? Sirach is the worst, is the most incompetent bad guy ever.
He's just like, look over here, look over here, look over here. Yeah. And then,
But, that's... See, stop it. Let's talk about stuff that I don't want to pick apart. Okay. Quit it, Sasuke.
Well, the next...
You're just egging me on.
People in the chat, let us know what you want us to talk about, because picking apart something and this next topic is a little bit kind of easy to do. And this is the Bernard, Stubbs, and MIB, and how basically they are going on a road trip. Or by the end of this episode, they're supposed to go on a road trip.
What's wrong with this when Stubbs is the smart one in the group?
Yep.
Stubbs is the man. And you know what? He's going to die for Bernard's decision, because that's the only person we can really lose that we don't have a super emotional attachment to. Like, we can't have Bernard killed. He has the key in his head. So he's going to get away somehow. But Stubbs is a goner. I'm sorry. Unless, maybe the man in black shoots the gun and it gets jammed. That's about all we can hope for at this point. They're going through their little things. Stubbs is like, oh yeah, I'm really good at tech stuff too. So he takes over for Bernard. Like, I'm wondering where this is coming from. We get the famous, what did he call him?
The can opener?
Yeah, we get the famous can opener line. I'm waiting for us to get a fracking toaster. Shut up, you fracking toaster line. Because, if you don't know, the man in black and Saul from Battlestar Galactica are the same person. Mm-hmm. But Bernard thinks he may need him for something. You can find any person to pull it. I don't know what. It's not like the man in black is physically strong. He's like 70 years old. They don't take any precautions. They treat him like they're babysitting a child. This man has killed more hosts than anyone on the planet. Mm-hmm. And you're just, Stubbs had the right idea in the beginning. Yeah, keeping the gun on him. Hey, where the fuck are you going? But no, hey, I gotta go to the bathroom. Okay, we're gonna turn our backs and look at the car engine like normal humans. It's like, what the hell is going on here? Yeah. And, there just happens to be a shotgun on the ground because the person that killed that person didn't need a shotgun. So, the magic... the magic gun this episode. But beside that, you knew he was going to get the upper hand. He told them, if you don't kill me, I'm going to kill you. I'd be like, okay, bang. There's no, we may need him. Well, if we may need him, let's find some zip ties and zip tie his hands together at least. Maybe even behind his back. That way he can't aim a shotgun or any kind of gun at us.
Let's just walk. Treating him like
they just picked up their grandpa from the retirement home to go take him on a couple of day vacation. Don't you wander off too far now, Grandpa. And just anyways, I did like it though. I love the man in black's sassy attitude. He is back. He's not this broken soul anymore. He's done killed himself a couple times to get to this point, and he's gonna cause some havoc. Mm-hmm. He is the wild card in all of this, and he's probably gonna kill some people that we love, so to speak.
Yeah.
And Stubbs, who has endeared us more to them this season than Stubbs? Mm-hmm. Oh, Stubbs, the guy that rowed a boat all the way across the Atlantic, or the Pacific, not the Atlantic. See, don't kill me here.
The Atlantic Ocean, became a tourist, got thrown off a balcony by Dolores. He's just and a bunch of other things. But yeah, Stubbs. The sequence with them in the lab though was quite an interesting thing, because basically Bernard reveals that MIB sold Sirach all of the basic data, and then what's it?
We needed the money to keep the park afloat at the time.
And of course, William, with his crass attitude, calls Sirach the French fuck, and everything. And we find out that basically MIB was marked for death, but he wasn't dead. So I'm assuming that there was people meaning to come and pick him up, because
I don't know. I mean,
to put him
I'd
in
have preferred he starved to death, but
no, but in terms of the if he was supposed to go, because that's what they were. I think that's what they were alluding to, was that if you are the 9 of 10 that don't survive or aren't fit for the treatment, that you go to where the brother was. So that's where I think they were going to try and bring MIB, was where Solomon is. I'm assuming.
Probably. I mean, he was a handful, to say the least. But we got a good question from Hax Dogman here in the chat. We're going to take one step back for a second, and then we'll get into Man in Black's doo-doo schedule, because you know he eats a lot of prunes. Do you guys think Maeve / Dolores are really gone because of that EMP, or just shut down for now? All right, so Dolores, they're not gone. They're just shut down, in my opinion. Kayla's going to take Dolores, and it's time to build her a new, more sturdy body that gets destroyed instantly the next episode after, apparently. But she's going to get one of those steel frames from what I've seen in the previews. Could he have just taken the pearl? Does he just chop her head off? I don't know. But I think Maeve, of course, the Rock's going to pick her up and be like, "Oh, you failed me again, Maeve." It'll be something like that. She's going to get a reset again because she's not dead. And if Dolores wanted her dead, it would have been left in the instructions to Caleb. Caleb's going to get instructions. Is that from Rehoboam? I don't know. I feel like she may be tapped into there, hearing that voice compared to, the voice of Solomon. I don't know. Dolores knows a lot more than she's letting on. She has planned this out way farther than I thought she ever could. And she's expecting to get killed by Maeve. She even expects it this episode. So I think Maeve, I think they both survived. Long story short, they both survived, in my opinion.
Yeah.
They just cut the fuck off.
I feel like, most of they both did survive. I'm assuming that obviously Dolores is going to wake up first and or get prepared first, and then they're going to be the question of, what do we do with Maeve? And Dolores was like, leave her, or whatever. And then it's like that whole shenanigans thing. Plus also too, if they get rid of that Maeve, Sirach can just make another version of her or something. There's probably they're gonna use some TV magic and just make another version of Maeve if they don't use that body there. But I think they're both still alive. Yeah, they're just shut down, and just Dolores just works for where she just needs her. They both need a reboot, but Dolores just needs a new body because she has the bullet wounds. She got a couple stab wounds. She got her arm ripped off, and a few other things probably. So she needs.
Maeve got shot twice and stabbed a couple times in the gut. The fact that she was still walking around like nothing had happened kind of bothered me. She'd been shot in the leg, and we'll see what happened when Hale got shot in the leg. She lost her high heel and was dragging her foot like Frankenstein's monster. But yeah, cut me off before I go insane.
Yeah, no, they're asking about where they are. I think it's a far enough radius where it's just for the EMP shutdown. I feel like it's just was for that area because I forget which part of Mexico they're in. I know Dolores and everybody's in a different part of Mexico. So then William.
They're all in the giant state of Sonora. I don't know if it's stated what city the Man in Black and Bernard are in. They probably don't want us knowing how far they are apart. Being honest here, but yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen. Do you think the Man in Black is gonna keep Bernard alive,
Probably.
to find Dolores.
Probably.
And then we have an inverse where the Man in Black, you know, he kills Stubbs to make a point, right? He's gonna kill Stubbs. He's gonna be like, bang, now you're mine, bitch. And then we have to get this reveal because I don't think we have yet. Have we? Fucking A. Y'all let me know in the chat if we've got the talk between the Man in Black and Bernard, because the Man in Black always wanted to meet Arnold.
No.
Didn't he at the end of season 2?
I don't.
They talk at the end of season 2?
I
I can't remember.
Well,
But I think we still need that talk because we had the quote here, well, you're not Arnold. And then you could tell Bernard would say, well, yes, I am. But they'll talk about that. They have to talk about that. That's been set up for a few seasons.
We still also have to have that sequence of a bloody MIB sitting presumably in his house, like sitting back in a chair, and like, I'm gonna save the effing world. That scene still needs to play out. So the blood probably on him is Stubbs, and they walk all the way back to California with that, or fly back there, or do whatever they can. Because I'm presuming that everything's the fisticuffs is gonna happen in California.
No, we're seeing the Man in Black go Grand Theft Auto style. They're jacking cars, they're jacking whatever, because he has nothing to lose, and he's on a mission, and he could give a fuck about anybody else. Yeah, he's saving humanity, but, you know, dumb shit's getting his way. I don't think he's gonna hesitate to blow them out of the water. Just
Yeah.
Yeah,
but
whatever.
It's like either way, like if they kill off this version of Bernard, there's another person who can make Bernard. So either way, at least one of them's coming back. And I don't know about Stubbs. I don't know about Stubbs' recreate ability, unless Bernard makes Stubbs again, which totally could happen. But I don't know.
It'll be later.
Yeah.
You know, come on. Stubbs is disposable guy. I mean, I could may have to eat my own biscuits if he lives, but Stubbs has had a hard season 3. He's had the shit beat out of him on multiple occasions, and now an old man has pulled a gun on him because Stubbs was slipping. He was slipping. Come on.
Head of security, like even maybe says it in this episode, like you're head of security and you're a robot. Like he's like couldn't believe it, but the one thing that was interesting about this, again, we could chop it down to a mistake in editing, but the fact that Caleb and MIB share the same code is a little bit sketchy.
Yeah, what's that supposed to mean? There's nothing to indicate any type of time jump. No matter how you can guess at a time jump, but they haven't shown anything there. And the fact that they're not at the same facility in Sonora, you know, one's a secret facility, one's a more open public facility. And you know, there's nothing to make me think that it's different timelines, especially with how the Man in Black was captured. You know, unless he's a host, he couldn't have been in VR that long. We saw the timelines mesh up when his therapist got her text and she killed herself. So right now it's pretty linear. That doesn't mean season 4 has to be linear. That doesn't mean that there's not some type of twist on some things we've seen. But you know, from all indications, I think, you know, for them to in the last episode all of a sudden say there's 14 timelines, I would not be down with that. And after what happened in season 2, they're aware of it. So they, you know, and you know, this has been a linear story, but it's been told, you know, in traditional Westworld fashion. You know, so it's not as if they're breaking with anything here, you know, but what this season is, you don't have to have that many bells and whistles. You know, it's about humanity. It's about Caleb. It's about the Man in Black. Yes, it's about the host trying to fight, but this is really just the start of the war. Season 4 is the war. You know, and yeah, kind of can't wait for it. Well, I'm pretty sad that the last episode is almost here.
Yeah, it's a little bit like a thing of like realizing that, oh crap, like a good show is gonna end so soon, especially like with what we're dealing with as well, like something good is getting taken away. But yeah, I feel like we'll jump into this now. Next week, obviously, like we have been saying this entire time, next week is the finale. So let's kind of like talk about what we kind of feel like is going to happen next episode based off of what we can interpret from the previews, as well as like what your personal opinion about how we think this is going to wrap up is. Quick, if you want. For me, we now know that it's an hour and 15 minutes long, so it's gonna with no breaks. So, like no like unless your channel does that. So it's gonna be a little bit tricky, but I feel like we're gonna get a lot more fighting. We get probably like the thing of what I'm just trying to figure out how they kind of wrap this up, like what the last scene is. Like I kind of based off of what we see from the previews, but can interpret what's most likely going to happen. It's just what are they going to leave us on, which is the biggest thing I'm trying to figure out. But which brings me to the thing that I was going to mention earlier. So there was the mention for this episode, we saw the, I guess, human cold storage with Solomon. I feel like there's very much the potential that we're gonna have, if not the last like scene, but like in this episode in the latter half, that that these bodies are going to be awoken, and we're going to have Jean-Mi come out, as well as, even though he's supposed to be dead, I still feel like Francis might be someone who comes out of this system, or we get another, if not, we get another flashback to Francis in the finale.
I think so. I think there's more Caleb's story to be uncovered. We got the next episode's called Crisis Theory. It's basically about the brain going through traumatic events and being accepting of intervention or something like that. I don't know. I'll read up more on it as we're getting closer to the episode. But it seems to have to do with what Caleb has experienced at the end of this episode, being thrust into a traumatic event and having to deal with his past and the present at the same time. It's going to make him a slightly unstable individual, as I've stated in my video that I won't stop talking about because I'm proud of it. So, he, there's a lot that's going to have to happen this episode, but I have a feeling it's going to be the same feel, but more action-packed as this episode right here. And it's going to be interesting to see who converges on their story. But I still think Bernard and the Man in Black may not meet up with Dolores or Maeve or anything this season, or maybe right at the very end of the finale.
Yeah.
Which I've stated that. I feel like they're going on their own type of path. I mean, William is looking for Host to kill. But right now it's about him getting to that point, getting through Bernard, what's going to happen with William and Bernard. And then I'm guessing they'll end up in the same general area. Maybe, someone else that the Man in Black could kill. Y'all ain't going to like this. But Clementine, he's going to have to take out a few of the stragglers first, right? Before we get into this. Now, what would be interesting, and what I see happening, I'll call it now, because it just popped in my head, Hell and the Man in Black are probably going to end up duking it out at some point. I know he wants the original Dolores, but the original Dolores doesn't seem to be his to kill. Hell is going to be the only Dolores left at the end of this, and maybe even season 4 will be that for the Man in Black, because he's just started his journey as well. And he's gonna, I guess he's fighting for the side of humans. If this goes Mad Max Thunderdome, like I said, then whatever, right? It's already kind of a Mad Max situation. There hasn't been any nukes dropped yet.
No.
And the thing about the Man in Black, he's that lone wolf, right? He's not really going to work with anybody. So it'd be interesting to see what he does from there and where Caleb gets his army from. If all those people in cryogenesis wake up, well, you have for Caleb basically the same army that Dolores had in season 2. Which would be pretty cool. A bunch of crazy bastards fighting for Caleb. Come on now. If that's not going to cause a divergence, I don't know what will.
Yeah.
But that's like the worst nightmare right there. And what happens when it turns off? Do they unthaw? Is there some kind of fail-safe backup that, they could just all be dead, right?
They could.
Because Caleb made a point. You don't give them a choice whether. He needs people quick, and it takes a while to, nobody knows that Caleb is the leader of the revolution for humanity. This has just begun. So we're going to see the process of that, and what's he going to, we're going to get Giggles and Ash back, I think, at some point too. Those are 2 people that he knows. Those are 2 people that know people. They have been, in the regular world, on the streets, for lack of a better term, seeing what's happening. So if they're still alive, and they seem to possibly be part of the Outlier program as well, controlled by and monitored by the Rico app. And if they were, they wouldn't know, right? Just as Caleb didn't know.
Yeah.
So I think that's really, really cool. Anybody he can wake up to that truth, any outliers he can find, are going to be his truest and most loyal followers.
Yes.
But you have a lot of people on their heels. You have a lot of downtrodden people that aren't rich, people whose lives have been thrown up and they have nothing to lose anymore. So it's a dangerous, dangerous world out there. And I'll shut the hell up now because I can't stop talking tonight for some reason.
No, it's okay. I feel like, again, we're gonna have to trim the fat a little bit with the characters that we got. And it seems like there's gonna be some people who are gonna die this week coming up. And I wouldn't be surprised if the human army just comes back up, or that's how we end. We end with the human army, unless we do, of course, after the credits sequence. The fact that we semi got a resolution with Giggles and Ash, but I feel like we're gonna get a full resolution, at least for this season, if ever.
No, they got something to fight for, right? Ash has her little brother to fight for.
No, I mean, like,
want to end up in a ditch.
For this season is what I mean. Like, if this is like how they will end with them this season, inevitably. So
depending on where Dolores and Caleb go, if they go to LA, we might get them for a second, maybe at the end. But yeah, you're right. But I think they could come back. It makes sense. It's the only people Caleb really knows that are people.
Yeah, that are people that he can somewhat trust as well. They kind of hinted, or not, they kind of just kind of served up the fact that Caleb has more feelings for Dolores this episode, so I don't think they're gonna really act upon it in the next episode because it's gonna be too jam-packed of things. But they could kind of drop that seed, I guess you could say, and like plant that a little bit more.
I don't know if that's phrasing, Sasa. Phrasing.
I know.
Well, you saw how Dolores was really emotional when Caleb was finding out who he was.
Mm-hmm.
Now, she didn't care enough to tell him beforehand.
No.
But
Cold.
she did empathize with him because Caleb is the human version of her. I don't know how many times I got to say it, but he is the human version of her.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to bond over that. He effectively is saving her life, right? Mm-hmm. Which, you know, you could say he's done once.
Yeah.
That's murky. She was hurt really bad. She probably didn't need some blood, but just for it to pump through and move those muscles. But you know, she put her life in his hands. Mm-hmm. Now you could say she knew what he was going to do, but you heard what Solomon said. Nothing is 100%. No prediction is no plan, no prediction is 100%, mm-hmm. and that's what makes this exciting, right? We know mm-hmm. he's got a plan, and we know that he's gonna bring Dolores back. He sacrificed a lot for her, you know, but he didn't have anything to lose, and that's what she was counting on. But he's putting his life on the line. He knows it's not going to end up well, based off what Solomon said.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's probably not going to survive it.
No.
So they have to find love at some point. But more Dolores, and Dolores will possibly be Caleb's William.
Mm-hmm.
Just think about that.
Yeah.
Dolores might get her heart broken. Ooh.
Yeah. It's kind of like they both kind of... Yeah. It could be that very much that thing of like they both are on this journey where they both are on this path, and then they maybe are together in the end in some romantic capacity. Yeah, I wouldn't mind it like a whole like a thing where it's like a season where they do have it, but I can also see where they almost leave it off on a I finally understand you as a person kind of thing.
Gonna hold hands and right before they kiss.
Paint to black.
Black. Maybe. I'll say maybe if Dolores survives. I think we're gonna get that beforehand. After the rebuild, they're gonna have a moment.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm calling. Next episode, they will have a moment. They're not gonna bang, but they may kiss, or at least show some sort of romantic interest. Because at this point, the only person this whole time that has had one semblance of romance for Dolores is Caleb, and that's basically in genre when he's fucked up on drugs.
Yeah.
So look, kids, drugs make you want to have sex with robots. Don't do drugs.
No. No. Don't do the drugs.
You know, he's very confused about her motivations, but now that he's found out everything, this truth, this realization of truth, and he knows who he is. Mm-hmm. Now, he's still got to get comfortable with who he is, but he can be intimate. They're set up to be intimate. They both have went through the same things. They both are going through this crazy fucking time, and you know they're coming together,
mm-hmm.
right? I'm pretty sure Dolores has reservations about it. She loved Teddy. Everybody she's ever loved has either gone fucking insane or killed themselves. So she has to, you know, fill it out here. But I think I think she does slightly feel something, or could feel something, especially after the reveal this episode of Caleb's past. Is that a long-winded enough answer for you?
Yes. Yeah, well, he will see her naked next episode, so...
That's just sick, Sasa. Naked robot parts. Like, literally naked. She doesn't even have skin on.
Yeah. Except
that is Talk about bearing your soul to your lover. That's it. Like, yeah, that's the sex scene I want. Caleb having sex with a skinless Dolores.
Just her metal frame.
Just tag that. Put that on a T-shirt.
Just. Oh no. Both nasty tea. Although although in my youth I did it all at a party, I never wanted to have sex with a robot. And then Sasuke says,
Sure,
no.
Nancy, that's what you tell everybody in public. That's what we all do. Who would admit they wanted to have sex with a robot? You just keep your secrets, Nancy. I love you.
And then Sasuke says, new level of horned. But
Oh, yes, Sasuke. It's like that My Weird Obsession episode with the guys who make love to cars. Yeah. How about, let me stick a potato in your tailpipe, baby.
Oh man.
Oh, my goodness.
But
See, Sasuke brings the worst out of me. I love it.
oh no. But yeah, that will be the nudity that we'll mostly get this season is Dolores with putting her skin on. If that doesn't turn people on next episode, I don't know what's going on.
If the skin don't fit, you must have quit.
Literally. But yeah, she's gonna put her skin on next episode. It's like, will she put it on seductively? Who knows? But find out next week on Westworld. I feel like that he probably did marry that car, Peter. It's on TLC, right? Weird Obsessions.
He married that car, and he was tweaking the gear shifters, like twisting it like a nipple. So weird.
People are just cuckoo bananas. But yeah, if you guys have any other comments or questions in the chat, we went on.
Please, I actually want to talk tonight. So, questions. And Mackenzie, sorry, I cut you off rudely because I'm an ADD asshole. Thank you.
Well, Peter Griffin says when the lady ate cigarette butts out of the ashtrays, he had to stop watching My Strange Addictions.
Oh, you didn't see that she made that into a giant Burning Man and then had sex with it. She got the third degree, if you know what I'm saying.
So Crisis Theories next episode, and it's gonna be hopefully a good finale, like one that by Cameron Mind and Passenger was pretty good. Finale. Potato.
His chat,
Oh no.
chat is fucked up like my head. No, is there anything we haven't covered? I don't know. I talked a lot. I think we talked about a lot of this. And I did like the episode. I mean, I enjoyed it on the rewatch, and I don't do that with all episodes.
Mm-hmm.
There was another episode this season that I didn't even rewatch. But that doesn't, it's a good we needed that emotion this episode, that coming home party for Caleb, that the big reveal that subverted your expectations. I bet you thought it was going to be something crazier. I think this was nice, a good relief to see this awful life and awful experiments this man was exposed to and had his life taken from him. Just think about this. If you had your memories taken, you might as well take that person's life, take that person's soul. Memories are all we have, and the pain is the only thing that feels real, as some hosts may say. And even though what he did was bad as a a hard burden to bear. It's even worse now that he thinks someone else did it, and now he comes to realize all at one time that he did it, and the fate of the world's on his shoulders. There's a rebellion of this robot you just met.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know what the fuck is going on. This robot just massacred a bunch of people at the park. He even asked her about that all nonchalantly. But
Mm-hmm.
Caleb don't give a fuck. He's like a honey badger. He's just along for the ride. And look, I'm
Yeah.
telling you, this guy's going to get somewhat dark. Caleb is going to get a little bit dark, especially if my theory's right, and he becomes Wyatt. It's gonna get dark. You're gonna question whether or not you like the person.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the decisions may not seem right, because all of this is gonna come off of emotion. All of this is gonna come off. This is a revenge plot, just like when Dolores found out. It's a revenge plot. She was pissed off and wanted their world. Does anybody else think that Dolores is lying to him, that she wants to coexist? What about you, Mackenzie?
Um, I mean, I could see that she wants the ability to coexist with the humans, and I think I said in my reaction that um, a place like where she shows Caleb in the beginning of the episode would be like a decent place for them to live because it's a place they're familiar with. Um, but it's kind of what happened. I know this is going back a little bit, but it's kind of like what happens, I'm assuming, on Battlestar Galactica, where's the fighting of humans versus basically the robots, and or human-like robots, and then eventually they will learn to coexist. So maybe that's the end of the calling it now. The end of season 5 is the hosts and the humans live together and cohabited at peace after Dolores and Caleb have a baby. There we go.
No. Okay. I know you're trolling me, so no.
No, but I do think that there is a
But there
place.
could be some cohabitation. We've seen
Yeah.
space introduced, and I know Dolores wants this world, but Dolores is gonna die. We can make
Yeah.
a place for hosts somewhere else. Be cool if hosts lived on the moon. I think somebody said that at some point. But we can't even worry about all that right now.
Mhm.
It doesn't even really matter. I think she's telling him what he needs to hear. She could be sincere. I think that's the part of the fun with it. Has he changed her? Will he change her point of view a little bit on humans? I think so. I think that's kind of the whole point of this. But that doesn't mean that's what her plan is in the long run. Um, there gets powerful enough, he will become a threat to Dolores.
Yeah.
She's got to keep him as her ally. He is doing this for humans. He's not doing this for hosts, but he's also doing this for a hot chick. And he's going to start questioning what the fuck he's doing. Especially if he has what he thinks is something of more importance, human. So Dolores is going to have to align that rebellion with hers. So no matter what her plans are in the future, for now, she's going to have to cooperate just for the manpower, at the very least. What's Rock? The problem with Rock, and the reason I think we're going to get a new bad guy, or maybe not even new, maybe the Man in Black will lead the fight against the rebellion. But Sirach's not a guy who's going to rally people to him, I don't think. Doesn't feel like he has that power, the power of armies.
No.
Even though he kind of stated he did. Who's going to rally to him just for that?
Yeah. Maeve.
We could get introduced to someone else.
Maeve's gonna rally behind
But-
him. That's about it.
Well, I mean, Sirach, I guess, could get up a force. He could get up a force. He does have all the tech. He did take over Delos, and Delos Robotics runs so many things. Their robots are everywhere. So no, I take that back. So Rock could get someone of armor. We're gonna see the police here.
Right.
So
Yeah.
we're gonna have regular government start to come into play at some point. Probably be next season, like you said, riot control or whatever. Um, but if Caleb does get enough people, the government themselves are gonna jump in to quell this.
Mm-hmm.
It's we haven't seen any of that yet, which I find interesting. We haven't seen
Mm-hmm.
anything from the government except, what happened in Brazil,
Mm-hmm.
and seemingly Sirach is the puppet master to everyone, because if you basically don't do what he says, he'll have you killed and a new leader put in his place. But that only goes so far.
Mm-hmm.
But if Caleb becomes a danger, there's an army that's coming to take back freedom. I think we'll have some government entities get into play, just like at some point. But that's definitely season 4.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a lot in season 4. I think it's
Mm-hmm.
gonna be a war, like I said.
Yeah. The war is coming, and it's most definitely going to. We're going to see the beginning of this war next episode, because we're bound to get some riots and all of this crazy shenanigans started, because it seems like the war is only going to begin, and I feel like the Welcome to 2058 thing is going to be where we leave off as we jump into the future in 2058 with the war just raging on. So, yeah, I think that's where we're going. We're going full steam ahead, all the craziness, 24/7. And, yeah, I think we're going to wrap up shortly, so that's the case. So, thank you so much for stopping by. It's been a pleasure. Anything else? What was that jerk reaction? Anything else you want to mention, Johnny, before we wrap up?
No. Did I say check out my video? Yeah, go check out my video. Caleb is the new white. I'm semi-proud of that one. There may not be a breakdown this week because of that, but doing a Patreon podcast tomorrow. If all goes well, it'll be up tomorrow night on Patreon. If not, it will be up the next day. And then got Fire and Blood coming up. And, Patreon get all the access to my scripts and, whatever that's worth if you'd like to watch. If you'd like to read stuff that Charlie Day from Always Sunny in Philadelphia wrote, that's about my writing style. So do. And get to see that. Just having fun on there, trying to get it back going. I've been being an asshole. No. I had to recover from surgery, had to stop a lot of, changing the medication and all kinds of crazy stuff. So we're getting it back going. Ragnarok is since Westworld's been so crazy, it will be coming out right after my last Westworld video. Because I really want to put the time into that, and I'm trying to. I don't know. I could just put it out and make a shitty video, but I can't bring myself to do that. So I'll get that. I probably won't get a bunch of views or nothing off of it, but that's for y'all. Yeah, that's about it. I can't shut up tonight. Thank you so much for having me on, Sasa.
No problem.
Go check out Mackenzie's Patreon, and thank y'all so much in the chat. Y'all are fucking awesome as always, and I just appreciate it. And now I will be quiet and fade away into the darkness.
No, don't fade away just yet. Yes, so next week we will be covering episode 8 on Sunday before the dust settles. Go check that out. I think, as far as I know, Axel is supposed to be on for before the dust settles, I think. So go check that out. It'll, as well as my reaction video to the episode will be out. If it's really, really good, I might stretch it to 2 parts. Ooh, big crazy. So, well, if it's an hour and 15 minutes, I might make it a 2-parter. Because why not? I want to torture myself. And we'll be here on Wednesday to cover episode club. So I'll make a post this week, and because I've been getting into reactions, let me know what show you want me to react to while we're in the break, kind of, so to speak, for this. And as well as we're prepping for the next show, which, whatever it is, we'll be sure to let you know about that. Also, follow me and Johnny on Twitter, because I'll plug for you.
Thank you. You know, I'm a social media whore, right?
Yes. And on Instagram, you can follow Johnny as well. Pictures of James Franco, the elusive James Franco. The dog is on there as well.
Oh, yeah. So, James Franco might be having his own Instagram. Y'all look out for that, okay? Because he is a star in his own right. I bet you he'll make more money by putting out vids than I will.
So, yeah, we'll be doing that as well.
The after show. Oh, yeah. Cortex Videos. Go check that out if you haven't. CORTX Videos.
Go check. I'll drop the link in the chat for Cortex. Yeah, go check out Cortex vids. He makes videos.
He makes videos.
But he's also has been doing. He covers a bunch of different shows. He's doing like Westworld and a few others. So, and he gets them out pretty fast. Like Justin says, it's like the magic of that. And he was on with us last week before the dust settled. So, yeah. I rambled my ear off and all of yours ears off. So we'll be back next week. More posts on social media, more posts on Patreon. Thank you to the patrons. Your support means everything to me and to the channel. I'm going to continue to invest back in the channel with some new things. So I'll let you know about that over there. So new uploads are coming for there as well. And we'll see you all next week for the season finale of Westworld episode 8. Alright, bye everybody.
Don't be banging no robots.